Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Irresistible Events podcast. Today, I have a special speaker with us, and we're going to talk about a topic that it's very dear and near to our hearts. And it has been coming up a lot lately because we've been bored as heck. Everybody went back to work in person, and virtual events have become very boring. And also, I've got to very boring in-person events. So today we're going to talk about how to make them fun and engaging. And at the same time, how that affects us with our ROI. How can we make money out of these events so that they are actually profitable for us and they're not a waste of time? Because I hear a lot of hosts saying, oh, why would I make an event? It's just a lot of work and then I don't get anything in return. So we're going to talk about all these topics, and we're going to bring them into just talk about our experiences lately and what we could do to make it better. So Ziza, welcome. She is a highly rated speaker and coach with 23 years of stage experience as a speaker, performer, musician, host, and group facilitator, and 8 years in online and offline marketing. So since she's started launching the Voice of Power in 2021, Ziza worked with business owners from over 12 countries, spoke at over 80 events, and has been featured twice on the Clubhouse Town Hall by the app founders for the weekly room hosted in the Women's Wisdom Club. Ziza works with expert business owners and leaders to amplify their voice and authority through powerful communication skills expressed with confidence and authenticity, as well as increase the conversion rate of their public appearances through strategic and targeted messaging. She helps them become the go-to experts in their industries, make an impact, and leave a legacy through their work. Welcome, Ziza. I'm so excited that you're here.
Thank you so much for having me, Anna. It's a pleasure.
I love it. I love talking with you. We've been talking for a while since we met in the Women's Wisdom Club, and our experiences as event attendees and event hosts are very similar. So that's why I wanted to bring you into the podcast so we can talk about how we can stop being boring, because it's like a pandemic. It's a horrible pandemic that's been going on, the boring events.
Yeah, I could not agree more. And while you were talking about in-person and online events being boring, I was thinking, you know what? When you are at an online event that's boring, you have more ways to escape. You can turn off your camera, or you can say that your Wi-Fi is not working and disappear. But what do you do if you are in an in-person event where you're so bored and you're in the front row, which makes it even worse because you feel like falling asleep. So you can't run away, right? Maybe you can just say you're going to the bathroom and disappear. But when you're stuck over there and you feel just like, oh my gosh, I'm going to fall asleep right now, that's the worst situation that you can be in.
Oh my gosh, yes. And I'm also thinking about the speaker, looking at the faces, right? That's why when you're in an in-person event, you got to check your face because all the people are giving you the cues on how your speaking engagement is, how you're engaging. I mean, how you're delivering the message. And if you are seeing people yawn, make faces, or online, if you start seeing people stop the video, you gotta do something to change it. So what can we do as speakers, right? If we talk about that speaker angle, to not be boring when we are on stage?
First of all, I think it's important to understand where it's coming from first. And I believe that an event gets to be boring or a speaker is not very interesting when they're not audience focused. Because when you care about the audience, you will do whatever it takes to make sure that you're serving them and that you're giving them what they need. So this means you will think about who's going to be there and what do they need to learn from me? How can I structure this information or this speech or this presentation in a way that helps me make sure that they really understand it and integrate it and ask questions and take notes? So if you're audience focused, there is no way you can create something boring. You will be always thinking, how can I make this really awesome? Would I want to attend an event like that? I mean, if I were an attendee, would I want to stay there or would I just want to go away? So I think the most important thing to think about is your audience, because you're not there just to be, oh, look at me, I'm the speaker. You're there to serve people. You're there to do the same thing as an event organizer, as an event planner. So when you're audience focused, it's so much easier to make it engaging. And as a speaker, possibilities are endless. And I think this comes from your personality as well, because some people are more bubbly and they're more fun. So what they will do will probably be in that direction, because this is my style, for example. And depending on the type of event that I host, I've done so many things to engage people. I had a monthly networking event where we would practice public speaking, and the format literally forced you to keep your camera on because it asked you to dress up. So you had to turn your camera on. And then it asked you to work with a partner in the breakout room. So you had to turn your camera on. And you knew that from when registering. So there was no way you could just log in and listen in the background while driving or whatever. And then I would tell them again in the beginning, you need to have your camera on for this one. If you're driving, if you can't speak or whatever, we are so looking forward to seeing you next time, but not right now. So this is one thing that you can do from the beginning. Make sure that you're very clear from the beginning that you want people to be engaged. Make it clear from the beginning that you will require your active participation. So by including the audience in the activity that you're doing, even if it's just a speech, when you make them part of that speech, when you ask for their contribution, that's when you have their attention. Because they can't scroll on their phone anymore when you ask them a question and when you ask them to contribute with their opinion, right? So this is what I like to do the most, to include the audience and ask them to contribute to the overall experience. I'm going to give them tasks. I'm going to give them stuff to do, all sorts of, I don't know, workbooks, papers. I made people do some jumping jacks once because I saw them that they were kind of unengaged. It was the end of the day after work. So I was like, you're going to do 10 jumping jacks and get rid of everything that's in your mind so you can focus now. So possibilities are endless, but it really depends on what you're speaking about, what kind of activity you've created, and your personality, because you don't want to do something forced that is not really who you are.
I love that. I always say this to my clients and the hosts that when we do events, it's like, how can we create an experience that everybody's involved? Because when we, exactly what you said, you make them part of your speech. If it's just a monologue, snooze fest, unless you're a comedian. Unless you're a comedian, like I used to see this Mexican comedian back in, I don't know, like 15 years ago now. And he would do this monologues, but we were cracking up and we were super engaged because it was hilarious. So I totally agree with this, because I've been to boring events where people just yap and yap and yap and yap and yap and yap, and you're like, I'm going bored. Like, I'm not even learning anything. They're just like monologuing about themselves, or they just saying, random things, or they're just going like you said, they try to become this persona that they're not. And I don't know if you heard Jim Carrey talk about depression. And that's what happens too in speaking, right? When we try to become and act this person, and then we're off stage, we're completely different. That also turns people off. Like if you are super bubbly on stage and you're the best, and then when you try to meet the speaker, they're a complete a-hole.
I could not agree more with that. And you can actually tell when they're not genuine. You can really tell if they're overdoing it with the bubbliness and the excitement. And this is something that I was just discussing with the client earlier in the call. I just told her, however you speak in your real life, that's exactly how you need to speak on stage. When you're networking, you don't have to fabricate a speaking voice. This is part of the old school way of doing things. That part where you sound like a commercial, it's so outdated. Nobody wants that anymore. People want to see the real you, because if you prepare something that's super polished, it sounds mega professional, even the part where you laugh and the speech is directed, people will start to think, exactly. People will start to think, well, can she speak about something else that she hasn't practiced for 67 million times? Because I actually believe that a good speaker is someone who can put their thoughts together into something valuable without having to learn it by heart and preparing 100 million times. it's obviously something that they know stuff about. It's in their area of expertise. I mean, if you ask me to do a speech on rocket science, I'm just going to suck. But if you ask me to speak about something that's in my field of expertise, I will need about 5 to 10 minutes to put together a talk. I won't have to learn it by heart. So this is when I think that you've achieved that state where you are a good speaker, when you can talk about that thing without over prepping it, without over polishing it, and when you can't make the distinction between me, Ziza, with you at lunch in a conversation and me on stage. It's not going to be much of a difference, because in the end, you want to build up a connection with your audience, and you want to make them feel like they're part of your world. When you create this whole image that's not who you are, people will lose trust in you. They won't want to listen anymore. And they can feel when you're not genuine.
Yes. Yes. Most people can feel when they're not genuine, but a lot of people get bamboozled into believing that this person is how they portray themselves online, on stage, everywhere, right?
Well, some people fake it very well because they've
yeah.
trained themselves to do that.
Oh yeah. I could name a few, but I'm not gonna. We're not gonna be shaming anybody here right now. Just the attitudes, how we can be ourselves. Like, we hear this a lot. Just be you. I even have it here. I might post it. You can read it. Be you. But what does that really mean? And it's what Ziza is saying, right? Have a conversation with your best friend when you're on stage. Have a conversation with other people and be yourself. And if they don't like it, they don't like it. It's not for you. It's not your people. Even if the audience is the wrong audience that you're at, you're going to realize that as a speaker when you're there, and then you could adapt it. And if you can't adapt it and you sound robotic, then people are going to like to zone out. The translation in my head, I was like, wait, that's not how I say it. So, now, as an attendee, right now, we talked about how to engage as a speaker and like involve everybody. What if you don't want to be engaged? Like, there's people that just don't want to because they're super shy. They're introverts. They feel like the extroverts are taking over. Like, we take over. I know. I'm sorry, guys. But how can we be more engaged and like participate? Because we get, like you said, we were talking about this before, some people get registered to some events. They feel like it's going to be a great event, and then they just don't feel it, right? But they feel the need to stay because of, I don't know, because of the people that's there, and like whether they're going to say if I leave. I just feel like we got to give permission to people to leave the room, if that's okay.
Yeah, absolutely. I could not agree more. And from an introvert perspective, I can tell you that. So if we are online, obviously it's very easy. Nobody's forcing you to be there. So
Right.
if you just don't enjoy it, you have full freedom to leave without giving any explanation, especially if you paid for the ticket or if you've registered for free. I mean, come on, you're giving people your time and your energy. If you're not happy with it, just leave. You have full permission to leave. You have better things to do. Then, as you said, there's the difficult situation if it's an in-person event, and then you have the super annoying, bubbly speaker who's like, "Oh, shake my hand," blah, 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 and you're like, "No, get away." This is the
Come
kind
on
of
stage, and you're like,
exactly. So I will engage if I feel that the person is genuine, and if I feel attracted to what they're saying and I have a connection with them. If they're overdoing it, if they're the fake kind of enthusiasm person, I'll probably lower my head, not make eye contact, so that they get that I don't want them to come over and engage with me, because I'm like, I can't connect with you at all.
yeah.
But if there's something whom I can connect with, I will probably raise my hand or answer the question or whatever it is that they're saying.
Yeah.
But I think it depends on the vibe of the room as well. So I think that this comes as well, it goes back to our duties as speakers and event organizers to make sure that people feel safe to engage, that it's safe for them to ask questions, it's safe for them to be there. It's fine. It's not no right or wrong question or whatever. But if you don't want to engage, feel free to leave the room if you're on Zoom. But if you're somewhere else, and if you're in a place where you can physically leave the room, you have full freedom to do that. If you're just in the front row in the middle and you can't right now, just Don't make eye contact and they will understand, I hope.
Grab your phone, grab your phone.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, like I wanted to touch on that because some people feel afraid of saying no. Even if they feel if it's uncomfortable, right? If they feeling uncomfortable, it's like follow your gut. I would say follow your gut. If you feel uncomfortable and you really don't want participation, then don't do it. But then there's the other side of the coin, which is move away from your comfort zone and just do it afraid, even if you feel afraid. But if you're uncomfortable, that's different. Being afraid is one thing, being uncomfortable is another.
Yeah.
So, talking about being afraid, right, and uncomfortable, because some speakers, some hosts, and some people in general in the events can make you feel like you're, well, nobody can make you feel anything, but you might feel like they're like pressuring you into engaging, into participating, you know, like when you go to a Tony Robbins event, you have to jump and scream and clap and do all these things, and if people don't know that that's the vibe, right, they feel very uncomfortable. I've seen it. I've been at events where he's just a speaker, and one of my best friends, she's an introvert too. Like she's not gonna jump, she's not gonna go hug strangers, she's not gonna do all this stuff that extroverts do. So how do we find events that make us feel more comfortable, or that they're our vibe, right? How do we check the vibe?
Well, first of all, about this thing that you said, if you do have this kind of engagement, I think it's important to mention it from the beginning. It's just the example that I gave in the beginning with the costumes at my event. People knew what to expect because it was stated in the event description. So you don't want to surprise people and get them overwhelmed. Oh my gosh, I was not expecting this one. I'm so scared right now. So tell them what to expect. And if that's their vibe, fine. Super happy to meet you. And when you're looking for events, I think it's a great option to look out for those who have a detailed description. Like they need a clear agenda. Look out for details about the speakers. What are they going to speak about? What's the schedule? So if it's a very vague event description, you might waste your time, because I want to know what's the list of speakers, at what time are they speaking at, what's the topic, how long it's going to be each of the speeches, do we have a break in between, do we have breakout rooms? I need to know all of this stuff. You can't have like a 2-day summit with a list of, this is a summit about business growth and come and join us, you will learn so many things to grow your business. Whatever, I'm not going to join. I won't be wasting 2 days if I don't know who's going to be speaking and what are the topics that you will cover. What's the agenda? What am I supposed to expect? So I think that a great way to find good events, and this is how I advise my clients as well, to look out for speaking opportunities. Look out for those events that are very detailed in description. It's clear who is it for. It has a clear agenda. This shows you that the event organizer is organized themselves, that they know their stuff. They're not just throwing spaghetti at a wall and preparing an event in 1 week and just coming up with some vague stuff like, this will transform your life. How? In what way? Who is it for? Is this for me or not? So the more detailed the description is, the more you can see the agenda, you can see the schedule, you can see the speakers, you can read about them, the better that event is.
As you're saying all this, you're like speaking to the choir, like, because I have a lot of colleagues that think that if they say the agenda, people are going to leave. That if they are too detailed with everything, oh my God, people are not going to stay. They're not going to be engaged. They're going to just pick and choose what they want to do. And I'm like, guys, what you just said, if we're detailed enough, then people are willing to invest their time and money with us. If we are hiding it, we give this scammy vibe, or this the scammy vibe. You don't want to be a scammer, right? So why do you give the vibe of the thing that you're trying to get people to come to as a surprise? Not everybody loves surprises.
I believe in transparency.
Yeah.
This is actually the trend that we're experiencing. We're not in 2017 anymore. People don't have that much time to spend on Zoom anymore. So if it's one thing to remember about the trends, that is specificity. This is a trend in marketing, it's a trend in everything. In marketing, in event planning, we want to be specific and we want to be clear and transparent in our communication on a stage. But they will want to know who those speakers are and what are they going to be talking about.
Oh my gosh, especially that. I've seen a lot of summits lately where they just put in the name of the speaker and their picture. I don't know who the heck they are. Why am I gonna join this event if I don't know who they are? At the beginning, back in the day when I started in this industry online and in the US, right? I normally did event locally here in El Salvador or in Argentina where I lived as well. And I there were not summits, they were not in the speaking industry. And then now that I know a few of these people, now I recognize the faces. But when we're throwing this event into a cold audience, into running ads, if you're going to be running ads and it's a cold audience and they don't know who the heck that speaker is, why would we join? Like, it makes no sense. It makes no sense when we have no idea why we're going to be there. So people, that's why there's no enough butts and seats. That's where people don't register. And then I have a host whining, Anna, why are people not registering to my event? Can I see your page, please?
Exactly.
And it's an Eventbrite page for them to register. And I'm like,
yeah, with no description other than join us for dynamic speakers whom will help you change your life. This isn't the way you need to be doing and marketing events in 2023 towards 2024. People don't have the time to search and wait for dynamic speakers, whatever. Their time and money have been wasted a lot in the past 5 years. So they will want to know, is this going to be 1 hour well spent? Or should I rather spend that time with my family? They don't care about vague stuff anymore. They want to know. So if you think that by hiding stuff, it's going to keep them more engaged, it's not. It's going to make them give up before they even register. But the more specific and transparent you are, the higher the chances are to win that audience, especially if you're offering them something valuable. I mean, I've registered for a summit next week. I don't even know how I'm going to fit all of it in my schedule because I want to attend all of the presentations. I think, I don't know, out of 24 speakers, there's only 2 that I'm not that interested in. But other than that, I'm like, what am I going to do? Because I want to attend all of them, because I know from the beginning, what are they talking about? What's the schedule, and what are the gifts that they're offering? What are the freebies? And all of them are so attractive. So this summit is very well put together, but I know from the beginning what to expect. Had I not seen this list, I would have been, I'm not going to register because I don't know. It's 3 days. I don't know.
Exactly. As you're saying that, I'm very visual. So in my head, I'm seeing all the summits that I've attended, the ones I produced, the ones my colleagues have produced. And I'm thinking about how can we be complaining about registrations and lack of engagement and not participation when we're not being transparent? Like you said, I'm all about transparency as well. The more we set expectations. So this is the thing that I teach the most. Set expectations and people will not be disappointed. Yeah. They're going to know what they're getting into. And like you said, we've been having our time wasted. And one of the things I hate the most, and people that know me know this about me, if you waste my time, I'm done with you. I'm sorry. Yep. I'm done. Exactly. I'm done. I cannot get my time back. I can make more money, but I cannot get my time back. Like we're growing up. We're the older I get, the more picky we get. And I know that if your audience is in this age range, they don't have time to waste. If even the Gen Zers and the new generation Alpha, I think, they have all this technology in the back of their hands, and they want everything for yesterday more than the millennials, way more. So why would I waste my time when I can be scrolling on TikTok laughing?
We have
Like
so many other things that are much
so
more
many.
important to do. And this is actually, and I know this has been caused by people doing a ton of stuff that's not audience oriented. And we are fighting with this every single day. For example, when we want to host free masterclasses as business owners, I get bombarded everywhere with people saying, I'm not even going to join because I'm sick of the 45-minute long pitches. So you, when you're creating a masterclass, so yeah, they still work, but you have to fight a lot and put a lot of work into making the topic very specific, really showing people exactly what they will learn so that they understand that this isn't going to be a 1 hour long pitch. And it all comes from not being audience oriented and not being specific and transparent. I see this also in all sorts of Facebook groups where hosts and speakers connect for all sorts of events, and then they complain about getting crappy speakers. But when you look at the announcement, it's like, we're looking for dynamic speakers to speak at a business event. What the
You
hell
go,
is the event about? What
then
kind
you
of
go to
speakers
the
are you
link.
looking for?
Oh my God. And then you go to the event and you click on it. And there's this long ass form that you have to fill out.
Well, if it's a form, it's a good thing, because I've seen announcements like these with no detail and a ton of people saying, I'm interested in the comments. What are you interested in? You don't even know what the
Yeah.
event is about. So even if your event fits my expertise, I won't waste my time and energy to ask you in the comments, what is this event about? What kind of audience do you have? What kind of speaker requirements? I won't waste my time. If you don't give me the details, I won't reach out. And it's the other way around. The speakers also need to be specific when they reach out, because I've seen the flip of the coin. I've seen event organizers post a very detailed description of the event, what kind of speakers they're looking for. So it was really great. And then I've seen speakers just write, I'm interested. Hold on. If that person put so much effort into writing a detailed description, you want to make sure that you at least bother to tell them what you could be speaking about. Ask for an application form. You can't ask for that person to respond to 100 comments that say, I'm interested, and tell you, here's the application form. Here's what can you speak about? So you need to respect everyone's time. If they made an effort to create something very specific, you need to do the same and tell them, this is what I can speak about because. So I think it all comes down to really respecting the people whom you work with, your audience, and being transparent and communicating with people. Why waste somebody's time? You wouldn't like that. If it happened to you, you wouldn't like it.
Oh, the golden rule, right? Don't do to others what you don't like to be done to you in the business, and everything it applies. And what you were saying about if the event host and the event planner producer is being very detailed and they're asking specific topics, because that's what I always teach and what I do with my events, right? I want to create the content flow and the topics before I go look for the speakers, so that way because that in my head it makes sense, but apparently some people are just like, oh, dynamic speakers, right? What the hell does that even mean?
I give those as bad examples of events in my course. So I give examples how you can tell if an event is going to be good just by reading the description. And those that are vague, with dynamic speakers that can speak about business and life and astrology and everything in the world, this is going to be a vague ass one with a very with an audience that's very not put together. So it's going to be people from thousands of demographics, so you won't be able to get any ROI out of that event.
Absolutely, yes. And that's what we've been talking about this a lot, but I want to like land the plane on this when it comes to also planning our events and like attending our events, right? Specificity and niching down, it's so important with the topics. Like, I'm not going to go to an empowered women's summit. What? Like,
What kind of women?
what kind of women? Like, hello, there's so many types of topics that we could put under that umbrella. So the more we can go down into one topic. So, and that's the other thing on why these events are not engaging for your audience. And also the speakers are not engaging, they're not promoting, they don't really care about your event. And it's not just because they don't know you, it's because the way some speakers are just going to say yes to speaking and everything because they like to cast a wider net. Some are more intentional about choosing their stages. I know that my friends that are in the 7 and 6 figure range, they're extremely intentional. They're not going to be in everybody's event. When you're starting out, you can, so you could dabble and go practice, and that's fine, right? But like you teach, it's like so important to go see if the details are there. If they're not there, then you're going to be wasting your time, and not just wasting your time. It's like you put your hopes and wishes that this is going to be the stage where we get all the sales, and then crickets from the host, crickets from the audience, crickets from everywhere. And you're like, how is this fun and engaging for everybody? And then you become jaded. I think that speakers become jaded, and they've had so many bad experiences that now they're super cautious on where they show up and when they show up. And especially when you're promoting, a lot of speakers are not going to just promote you just because. And if your event is super vague, general, and this is an example everywhere in marketing, you're going to hear this, right? If you're a generalist or if you're a specialist. And just the example of medicine, right? A generalist doctor is not going to make the same amount of money as a neurosurgeon or a plastic surgeon. Even in plastic surgery, now they have more niche down, because you could be rhinoplasty, or you could be, body sculpting, and like there's so many specific topics, and that's how we could get the right audience. But how do we? Okay, we have the right audience, we are specific. Now, how can we make it fun? Because it could become boring inside the event. And
Yeah.
I've had that experience too.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, first of all, you can start with a really fun twist to this concept because, for example, you want to do a business summit. Oh, there are tons of them. How can you make it fun? How can you make it engaging? How can you use creativity in your copy, in your titles? Because this is going to attract a very fun audience. And then you could use, so the possibilities for this one, again, are endless. So you can do all sorts of, you can gamify it. And this is what's happening in the summit that I told you about. You have this little game of bingo. So all sorts of activities that you tick on that box, like, I don't know, attend on Wednesday, comment on this post, and blah, blah, blah. You tick it as a bingo. And when you have a bingo, you get a prize. So you could gamify it if you want. You could add music. You could do networking and breakout sessions. You could do kind of like an amateur show and involve the audience into contributing to a topic. So open up a panel with people who want to contribute to the topic. You could do, so possibilities are definitely endless. But what I think is great is if you can create that community and engage the people even before the summit starts. So connecting them one with the other, like 1 week before, creating a community, bringing up the excitement around it, and getting to know them better. I think that one is also very engaging, and it will also remind them that there's a summit happening. Chances for them to attend live are higher. So there are so many ways to make this one fun. And again, it depends on what kind of speakers you bring in, because you can have the most fun concept in the world. If you have a boring ass speaker, they're going to ruin the whole flow of the show. And on the other hand, if you have a ton of boring speakers and there's only one who is super fun and engaging, that's going to be great, but the whole flow will be ruined. And that speaker won't be at their tip-top shape as well, just because they don't have energy to build themselves up with. So they won't be in their top shape either. So I think it's a combination of making sure that you properly select your speakers. So just by looking at their application form, I don't think it's enough. You want to listen to them speak and make sure that they're as good as they claim to be. Otherwise, I've heard event organizers, oh, I'm just going to do like a breakout session in between in case there's a bad speaker and I got to lift people up. Well, it's your duty to make sure that you don't have a bad speaker, that you don't have people with a 45-minute pitch, or people who just are so boring that you're going to fall asleep while they speak. It's your duty as an event host to select them. Then you want to make sure that you combine interactive sessions with presentations and make sure that you involve the audience as much as you can. Get to know them, find all sorts of games, all sorts of prizes, all sorts of competitions, find ways to engage them depending on the profile of the event.
Yes, yes. And I'm nodding here because it's like listening to myself talk. We're so aligned on this because I've seen a lot of hosts that, like you said, they don't do the due diligence. They just don't follow people on social media. They don't go and listen to their podcast interviews. Like, even if they don't have a podcast, they've probably been on other people's podcasts. So like, go and do the research. I know research is not fun. I know, well, not for everybody. For me, it's fun because it's like a scavenger hunt. Let's go find people and let's go figure them out. And if they don't go and do the research and then they're just accepting everybody, then you're going to have that problem. And
Yeah.
saying that also to the speakers, it's very rude, in my opinion, saying like, if you're not fun and engaging, I'm going to remove your slot. Like, who the hell do you think you are? Like,
I'm going to feel threatened and I will back out. I won't speak at that event.
exactly. Exactly. It's like, why would you already assume and set speakers up for failure? Because that's setting them up for failure. That's setting the vibe of the whole thing and the energy, like you were saying about energy, right? And some people call it vibes, some people call it just energy. And we can feel that. It can be felt. A lot of us are more in tune with that, and some people are not. But if you start reading their emails, if you start paying attention to how things are said, you could tell that the vibe of the host or the vibe of the planner or the vibe of the event is just going to be um awkward. You sometimes you don't even can put the name to it, like what type of vibe it is, but you feel like, I don't know if I like this or if I can participate in this. And as an event host, I'm going to recommend to everybody to never put your speakers or your audience in that position. Like, we can't put them in that position. If we do that, then guess what? Your event is going to suck.
I think it all comes down to caring about your audience again. Because if you care about the audience, you will select the speakers. If you care about the audience, you will make sure that it's engaging and it's fun. If you care about the audience, you will make sure that it's very clear what to expect. So if you do care about your audience, whether you're a host, an event planner, or a speaker, you will do everything that you're supposed to do with care, with attention. You will put the time that's needed. You will get on calls with speakers to understand their perspective. You will check out what they did before, so you can know if they are actually a good fit for your audience or not. Maybe they're great speakers, but maybe they're just not a good fit into the overall picture that you've created with your summit, because even selecting the speakers is an art. If you have this huge discrepancy between the speakers, if they don't complement each other with the energy and with the topics, that can ruin the flow of the event as well. And this is what makes people disappear after listening to 2 or 3 speakers, because the fourth one, it just hit them in the face and it ruined the flow of the entire summit. So I think it all comes down to caring about your audience, looking at the bigger picture, then taking care of the details. But it's really about caring about your work, caring about your audience, and having those values that you will always think about, and having respect for yourself and for your work.
I love that. I love that. And on the flip side, also think about your speakers, because the experience is not just for the audience. Yes, the audience is like the core, the heart, the center of everything. But if we treat our speakers badly and our staff, so speakers and staff, if you see in an in-person event, the producer or the planner yelling at the staff or frustrated at the staff in public, you could feel it and it will dissipate to everybody. If you see the host speaking bad about another speaker,
that's part of the audience experience as well.
yes,
Because
yes,
why? When a speaker feels welcomed and they feel supported, there's a different energy that they come up with on stage, so the audience benefits. When the staff feels welcomed and they feel they're working in a team, they will have a different interaction with the audience, right?
Yep.
So it's a matter of thinking about the people who are part of this, because they're all beneficiary of that event in a form or another.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, it's obvious, but we're gonna say it. They're human beings and they have feelings. All of us, all of them. Even if we might feel, and I say we because sometimes I might appear that I'm very cold and like pragmatic and like um very direct. That doesn't mean that we do not have feelings and that we cannot feel all this stuff. And it goes back to one of speakers I had at a summit, Bill Dolan. He's so good at this. He centers everything in love. And he even does award shows. And he manages to help the award shows feel welcome for everybody. And everybody feels loved and welcome. And how can we, and that takes me to the other question, like, how can we show speakers this, like, tangible? Like, we're talking about vibes and feelings, but then I hear my pragmatics in the back of my head. It's like, Anna, Ziza, but how, right? How do we make them feel welcome?
Of course, but I do believe this comes from the heart as well. Because if you are a human being who respects others, I won't even have to tell you what you're supposed to do because you will do it. But just to give you some pragmatic examples,
Yeah.
first of all, if we were to think about the end, send a thank you note to the speakers after. Thank them for the effort. So that's the first thing that you can do after the event finished. If you think about before the event, make sure, so this is something that really annoys me a lot as a speaker. If they don't communicate with me and I don't know what to expect, I need to know in an email, this is the date when we're supposed to meet before the summit. This is the link to access, I don't know, the promo materials. This is how long your slot should be. This is how I need to know so I can prepare accordingly. I mean, I got into a summit and I had to ask the organizer, where do I send the bio? Where do I send the headshot? Is this going to be 1 hour or 10 minutes because I'm part of the other group and blah, blah, blah. So it's funny because in the application, it said, if you can speak live, it's great. But if you can't, you will submit a recording. And I chose the slot for the live one. I already scheduled it. And she was like, do you want to speak live? I just scheduled it. It says over there that you're supposed to schedule it. So make sure that you're communicating clearly what to expect because we're all busy people. And if you mess up my schedule and I have to go back and forth with 50 emails, I will get upset and I will get mad. So this is one thing that you can do to show respect to them, even if you're not so connected to them as a person. Just do your thing with professionalism. And then show them that you value their work, especially if they're speaking for free. Be thankful. They're giving to you for free a speech that's worth thousands. They're giving away their value for free to your audience. They are the ones that make the event engaging. Besides everything that you do, if your speakers are crappy, they're going to ruin the event. If your speakers are good, they will engage the audience. So be thankful for that. If they've done a good job, send them a thank you note after. You don't even need to do anything else other than that. Just by doing that, and it's going to be more than enough and they will feel appreciated. If that's a minimal thing that you can do, clearly state from the beginning what to expect, what's the schedule, what are the things that they need to deliver in just one email, not 50. Yeah. And after that, say a thank you. And that's it. That's the minimal thing that you can do. And they will definitely say thank you. Because I think you can burn a lot of bridges when you're being rude and when you're not being respectful to people. And this is not a huge industry. People talk and they will find out that you are a shitty person, whether you are a speaker or an event organizer. If you don't keep your word, if you're not polite, if you make people feel threatened, or if you make them feel less than, they're going to talk and you don't want that.
Yeah. If you do want them to talk, but you want them to talk well, because reputation in this industry is abso-freaking-lutely everything. And image as well. Like we say, oh, you shouldn't care about what people think. Well, when we're in the event industry, we care. We care about what they think, what they feel, what they say, because this can help us make better events.
Well, you don't want people to avoid you because you grew a reputation of being an asshole. Because this is going to ruin your career. You won't get any events, you won't get engagements, or people won't want to speak at your event anymore because you built up that reputation of being an asshole. Yeah.
Yeah. And it could be, how it takes so much time to build trust and respect. And then you can break it in one email. You could break it in one message. You could break it in one Zoom session when all you do is whine and whine and whine about the things that have gone wrong.
Yeah.
So we can take all this, right? And put it on a list of all the things that we can do. If you're listening to this or watching us, right? Go back, take notes. I hope that you were taking notes because this is very, very valuable. And make the next event better. Don't beat yourself up. If something went wrong, if you forgot to send an email of communication, if you sent too many emails, and then you were all over the place, right? This is why I have the checklist, why I have the planner, why you can come and ask us, right? What can we do next? There's also programs I can recommend you, because when we are organized and when we communicate, that's what I heard with everything you were saying, right? Communication is key. Just like in any relationship, communication is key. If you don't keep your speakers on the loop, if you're not thankful, then what's going to happen? They're not going to come back. You don't only want your audience to come back, you also want your speakers to come back, and not just come back, recommend you to their colleagues, because speakers know other speakers.
Exactly.
And they will tell you, hey, look, Anna, I was just speaking at this summit, this event host and this event, they do it every year. I'm going to send them your info so that you speak in the next event. Speakers do that for you. Like I've filled up summits just by recommendations of other speakers. They would get me people. They were like, oh, you have to have this person. I'm going to message them for you. And I'm like, oh my God, thank you. And just being grateful. I think that being appreciative, grateful is the key to everything. And I think that all this that we've been talking about comes down to what we were saying, right? Do it with heart, do it with intention, and not be an asshole. That's
Exactly.
it. Like,
Yeah.
don't be an asshole.
In the end, we are all important in this. So as a speaker, this is something that I teach my clients as well. I teach them to send a thank you note after the event. Thank you for having me as a speaker. How can I continue to support you? Are there any other speakers that you're looking for that I can recommend you? Because it's not just etiquette that you do because, oh my gosh, I need to do that. It's a matter of being a team with the event organizer, because if the event planner does a good job and creates the experience in a way that's going to be amazing, and the speaker does their job, you can have something unforgettable for the audience. But we both have a good contribution to it. So the event planner cannot have a good event without a good speaker. At the same time, a good speaker cannot do a good job without a good event planner. So this is why we have to work together as a team, to love each other, to acknowledge each other's efforts. Because I couldn't say that, oh my gosh, I've done the whole thing, I was such an amazing speaker, if you didn't do your good job as an event planner. I can't take full credit for that. I'm going to say yes, but the overall event was amazing because the event planner has done an amazing job. And at the same time, you can take full credit as an event planner for the other stuff that the speakers and the staff did. So this is why it's important to work together as a team, to acknowledge each other's efforts and to have this mutual relationship of love and appreciation, and just being together to support each other and to support the audience and to grow something beautiful together.
Oh, yes, absolutely. And I think that with that, we could totally wrap up and say that that's literally how you create irresistible events that people love to go. People want to bring their friends, speakers want to bring their friends, and everybody wants to work, even if it's volunteer work. Trust me, I know people that volunteer to the Tony Robbins events. They wipe up their whole schedule for the whole week and they go for free. They work for free because they're happy, they're excited, they're being acknowledged, they are getting something out of it that cannot be bought with money. And that's how we can make events better and make them irresistible, like I said, but also how we can change the world and make a bigger impact, not just a better impact, but a bigger impact, because there's so many things going on in the world that are already bad and stuff that is happening everywhere. We don't want to add more turmoil to people that wanted something out of the event, right? They wanted to either connect with somebody or learn something or just escape from their current reality. We are providers of an escape of reality for sure, because we want to put them in this event bubble, but we want to keep them in that event bubble and not let that burst. I know that in-person events is really hard to keep that bubble going on. But when you do what Ziza said, send speakers a thank you note, message the audience as well, like message the audience after, thank them for attending, appreciate them, send them a gift. It doesn't have to be a physical gift and you don't have to spend money on it. It's nice when you get physical gifts, like that's another topic, right? Like get people gifts, speakers, send them a notebook, send them, I don't know, a beautiful pen or whatever. It could be something very simple that can be in your budget. You could also get sponsors for this. But that's other topics that we're going to be discussing in this podcast: how to create great gifts, how to get sponsors, all this stuff that we could add to the events, and we can just make them better. So thank you so much, Ziza, for being here and having this conversation with me. Do you want to give some closing points or something else before we wrap this up?
Oh, I think we've discussed enough. We could talk about this for days, but thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure.
I love you. I love you. Thank you for coming. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Make sure that you download, subscribe, and share. Bye.